So I'm so glad to be here. And something that we've realized over the years is that public libraries are uniquely positioned in the small business ecosystem. Because we're trusted and we're inclusive. We're an agnostic place to come to, especially in today's world. And our conversation today explores how libraries can lean into that role, not by competing with business organizations, but by partnering strategically. So my name is Geeta Halley. I'm the Assistant Director here at the Round Rock Public Library. I oversee the circulation and operations and several other things here at the library. And I've been a librarian over 26 years. First 10 years were in Chillicothe, Ohio. And now the last 18 years, I've been here in Round Rock, Texas. In 2015, quite by accident, we launched Biz.ability. Um, it's a program supporting entrepreneurs and small business owners. 11 years ago, just a tiny random conversation gave birth to Biz.ability. And now it's in its 11th year, and we've hosted more than 130 workshops. And I've had almost 3,500 people attend, and many of them have never been inside a public library before. But the workshops catering to entrepreneurs brings them in. So you'll hear today about our business plan competition, an offshoot of the Biz.ability program. And this competition was developed in partnership with Dell. Dell is headquartered, and you hear Adriana speak about that. So it's in partnership with the Chamber and Dell. It's a great example of what's possible when libraries collaborate intentionally and use their partners strategically. So with me here, I have Adriana Nunez. She's the Director of Innovation and Entrepreneurship at the Round Rock Chamber. Adriana, would you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do at the Chamber, and how does your work intersect with entrepreneurs and workforce development?
Yeah, thank you, Geeta. And good afternoon, everyone. As Geeta mentioned, my name is Adriana, and I've worked at the Round Rock Chamber for 5 years, and I've been in this role as the Director of Innovation and Entrepreneurship for about 2.5. Um, but the whole time, the whole 5 years I've been at the Chamber, I've overseen all of our programs that are for entrepreneurs and small business owners. Something that's a little bit unique about the Round Rock Chamber is we are also the city's economic development organization. So in some other communities, there is a separate EDC or there's an economic development department of the city, but the city actually contracts the chamber to do that. And so I am a member of the economic development team at the Round Rock Chamber. And all that really means is that we take a different approach and have a different set of lenses on when we're looking at entrepreneurs in our events, as we are really very actively trying to help these entrepreneurs and small businesses scale if that's what they're looking to do, and help them eventually be able to hire more people or grow their capital investment. Um, and it all just stems back to making sure we're offering quality content and programming. And that's kind of where Geeta and I intersect, is that the library does a lot of great things and we're never trying to reinvent the wheel. And so that's kind of how this partnership, now friendship, has just how it started and how it's evolved. Um,
Adriana, could you also share a little bit about Round Rock? Because I think we're the only Texas people here.
yeah,
So,
Round Rock is 15 miles north of downtown Austin. I think that there was a time when you knew when you were leaving Austin and hitting Round Rock because it was fields and cows, but that's not the case anymore. You can't tell when you leave one and enter the other. But Dell Technologies Their global headquarters is here, even though you might hear them talk about it and they'll be like, we're in Austin. That's not true. They are here in Round Rock, but something that's unique and what our niche is when you're looking to scale. So Dell was started in Austin, but when it came time for them to actually scale and put down a bigger footprint, that's when they moved out to Round Rock. And we've seen a number of businesses and startups actually do that is they'll be in Austin and they're looking for their next home and Austin can be a little expensive sometimes, but that's great for us.
And so with the library, we provide uh, business databases. We have two reference solutions and now Policy Map. We also have LinkedIn Learning and O'Reilly for all our tech because we're a big tech community here. Now, whilst these are really good tools for competitive analysis and skill development, what we were seeing was nobody was using these databases. Nobody was even aware of these databases. And people, when they think about business research, they were thinking more about the chamber than their public library. And so we decided, how do you change that perception where people, when they think about even a seed of an idea or they want to research something, they think of their public library first. And that is how a small random conversation outside on the street with SCORE, who happened to be coming to the chamber and were neighbors, we Biz.ability was born. So, and that's something that has changed the perception of the Round Rock Public Library. So we started offering workshops in the fall and in the spring on various topics. I'll show, let me share my slide. So you can see some of the workshops that we have. So this is the upcoming one on February 20th. We even have the SBA director come to talk about funding. And these, just to give you an example of what our workshops look like. And then the other one, this is another example of our workshops. And this was in the spring, a couple years ago. So you'll see the labor laws and cybersecurity. And these are very well attended. We thought that the Biz.ability program would be successful if it did just as well as the adult book club. And the adult book club, their largest numbers were between 7 and 10 people. We were surprised. Consistently, Biz.ability has held steady. The first several years, it was almost 75 people. And now we're at about 30, 25 to 30 people. A small story about how Biz.ability has helped change perception of our library that that we do business research, we offer good tools, is a couple years ago, the chamber was researching tools for market research and analytics and industry surveys. And our mayor said, have you checked out the resources that the public library that Round Rock has? And then another council member mentioned it to them too. And that was a really big moment for us that we were seen because that's a big strategic goal for our city council is economic development. And so when they themselves were saying this, that was a big change for us. And that moment was powerful that we weren't just supporting business, we were now recognized as part of the business ecosystem. And that leads to two important ideas that economic development is community development, and libraries sit at the center of that ecosystem. So this is the perfect segue into the business plan competition. We, during COVID, offered online Biz.ability, and I think Megan had this whole program with Google. And so I signed up for it because we were doing workshops anyway online. So it made perfect sense that we just include Google and they wanted us to show their tools. And a couple weeks later, they said they were going to offer every library that did that $1,000. As I went through the program, they upped the money and said, we'll offer libraries $2,000. And that was fantastic for me. So I finished the program. We showed, you know, we presented Google tools to our participants and attendees, and now I was stuck with $2,000. Several years ago, maybe almost 10 years ago, my library director showed me an article that she read about the New York Public Library doing a business plan competition. And I was wondering, why would a public library ever think of doing a business plan competition? Isn't that the job of a chamber? And so, but I kept that in mind. So when I had this $2,000, I was going, this might be the chance for us to do a business plan competition, but let me find out why the New York Public Library did that. So I called up the New York Public Library and sorry, I emailed the New York Public Library and just said, we're a little town in Round Rock, Texas. I have some questions about your business plan competition. And I didn't think that the New York Public Library would respond. Within an hour, they responded. And the whole team met later that week with me. There were 4 or 5 of them. And I was thrilled. And so I asked them, I said, I have this little pot of money. Your prize money is $30,000 and I only have $2,000. Do you think I should even do this? And they said unanimously, you must do it, even if you have only $100 as prize money. It's not about the money. It's about showcasing the library and its business resources. That's the more important thing. It's not about prize money. And you can, once you start, it will be a successful program. They were so nice. They said, don't reinvent the wheel. We'll help you take everything from our business plan competition website. So the guidelines, the judging criteria, the introductory paragraph, everything. They said you could take all of this, you have a permission, and just put Round Rock Public Library there. Scratch out New York and put Round Rock, which is exactly what I did. And then they gave me 2 pieces of advice. They said, your job is to promote your databases through this business plan competition. But when it comes time to selecting the whoever we pick, the top 5 to go on to the competition, you need to go to your chamber and another business and ask them to select the top 5. We're librarians. Our job is the way they explained it to me was to give access to information, but we're not business people. So that's when Adriana and YJ from Dell, they came in. And that was such a good partnership because you'll see the people that they picked were people that I would not have picked because I don't come from that background. So that's the little background to our business plan competition, which took place on the May 3rd of 2022. This is what we wrote. So my little $2,000 became 13,500. It was just taking that first step and things began to happen. Dell, through Adriana, I met YJ, who then talked to his boss, and we got a Dell computer and the 7,500, and the chamber kicked in some money. Then our local grocery store is HEB. They gave us money as well as the Friends of the Library. And there you see I have a special thanks to the New York Public Library because it was all their help. This is their judging criteria. This is where Adriana and YJ came in because this is what they were looking for. The probability of a successful launch, the ability to generate profit, how they would use the prize money, originality, and then the effectiveness of the final presentation on the pitch day. This lady here, and this I put the slide in so you can see we used the city council chamber for the business plan competition. You can see how many people came, which was, I never expected that. And these were all people that are not regular library users at all. So, and this lady here, her name is Mandy. I was showing Adriana an email I received out of the blue from her 2 days ago, and she was a runner-up, and her business that she pitched was homemade dog treats. And now her email said, "You're not going to believe this, but I am opening a brick and mortar store in Houston." She had to move to Houston because her husband just passed away, and so she's opening her first brick and mortar store in Houston. So, and she started here with the business plan competition and wrote her business plan with the library databases. This is our city manager, Brooks Bennett, and this is the chamber CEO, this lady here. This is another business owner, Celicia. So these were all judges. The judges were picked by Adriana. So she brought in all these people. Here's our mayor talking to everyone. It was really nice. And that, again, the mayor came because he's so committed to economic development, but he came at Adriana's invitation. And here are the prize winners. This is the grand prize winner, and there is Mandy with her dog, with her Bakari. She calls it the Bakari. After the competition was over, we invited everyone to a pub nearby, and the participants, the visitors, everybody was socializing here. And again, that was an Adriana idea. It was so nice. I think as a librarian, I would not have come up with this idea. I would have had everyone, I would have brought little sandwiches or something like that, and we would have met at the library. But this was even nicer and more productive. So I'm going to ask Adriana. Oh, I want to show you, this is from our nearby jail. If you can see that. I put this here because he heard somehow in the jail, he heard about the business plan competition and wanted to participate. And so then when I had to tell them that he cannot because he has to be present, he said, when I get out of jail, I will make sure that I participate because I have a business idea. So I thought that was really cool, the way the word spread. So I'm going to ask Adriana, what motivated the chamber to participate? This is even before she and I worked so closely. She didn't even know me that well. And so what motivated the chamber to participate, and how does partnering with the library support her organization's goals?
Yeah, I would say just for starters, as the chamber, and I hope the chamber and all of your communities is welcoming and open to partnership, but ours is particularly, we partner with all kinds of groups to bring different things to our community. But when I actually met Gita because of this, she asked our CEO at the time if she could have some of his time to discuss this idea that she had, and he passed it over to me since this fell under kind of my duties. And I'll never forget, we were both in different offices at the time and walking over to come and sit down, and she pitched this. And even before I walked back to ask anybody's permission, my answer was yes. This just seems like such an obvious partnership. Sometimes, and I know that the library experiences this, but so does the chamber sometimes. When you're marketing your programs, it's only going to the people that you have on your mail list. So for the chamber, it's only going to the chamber members. And For a library, I'm assuming it's only going to the people who are signed up through their library cards, but we're both doing such great things that we wanted to get out even further. So the opportunity to not reinvent the wheel, right? She had an idea and she had the blueprint for it. I was just going to come in and get to partner and help connect some of the dots and then expand on the idea. And then I was also able to grow the word. Like she mentioned, this reached an inmate in the county jail. But there are perhaps people that are a part of the library that never thought to check out the chamber because they might have thought, well, the chamber is only going to help me if I'm a member. Well, that's not true because all of our programs that are for entrepreneurs and small businesses, they're free and they're open to anyone, even if you don't have a member, and vice versa. The library has such great resources that our members or people that we have their emails might not know about. And um, I don't, we Gita didn't go into this much detail, but a part of them going through this business plan competition is they had to physically come to the library and sit down and meet with her. And they had to not only use the tool that helped them build the business plan, but they had to use the other tools to help with market research and all kinds of things. So it really helped open their eyes to the things that the library has to offer and brought them through the door. But yeah, it just I think goes back to, it's my favorite saying, like I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel, but I want to offer the best things that we can offer to our community. And um, this has evolved. So that was a couple of years ago. And then now this year, we're getting ready to do a Round Rock Startup Week. So what started as a business plan competition evolved into a pitch competition, and then it was a startup day, and now we're looking to do a whole startup week. And this really came from this one little idea that she came and asked me um, to participate on. And our partnership is so strong too that the chamber offers different councils and committees, one of them being entrepreneurship that I oversee. And Geeta has a member of her team that attends this meeting that we get together every other month so that her team is in the know with what we're doing and offering the community. And then her team shares what they're working on. So Taryn comes and talks about Biz.ability and lets the group know so that they can go out because they're kind of like ambassadors for the community, um, and vice versa. So that constant staying in communication and making sure that I know what program she has coming online so I can share, and she knows what I've got going on so that she can share, so that there's always that open line of communication.
And I'm so glad, Adrian. I forgot this big, most important thing that we made them use our library databases to do their business plan. And one of the judging criteria was how well did they use reference solutions. And at that time, it was demographics now. So and they had to meet with me, and I was able to show them other resources, not just business resources. So if they had little children, I was able to talk about all our databases for children. That way, the library became a part of their own, that they would use the tools or share it with their neighbors. Um, so one of the nice sentences that I found that strikes me is that this partnership, or any partnership, a good partnership, demonstrates how impact happens at the intersection of our strengths. So not reinventing, but using each other's strengths. Where I didn't have the other part, the day of the pitch competition, the run of the show, Adriana came up with. I didn't have that. I was able to do just my library part, the first part of it. And so we don't have to do this alone. We can always, for a lot of our work here as public librarians, I'm not sure about academic libraries because I'm not familiar with that much with them. So Steve, you might be able to speak to that. But we rely on the expertise, the networking, the funding, and the industry credibility of other partners. And Adriana? What do you think? You work with Dell and I don't know, with Google and Facebook and so many places, big people, and you've traveled to Korea and other US cities to study best practices in economic development. So, what would make a good partnership?
I think a lot of the things we've kind of touched on, that open communication and sharing what each other has going on, but also just not being afraid to go and ask for other groups. Like I can't really remember if I knew YJ very well at Dell Technologies ahead of this. I think I might have briefly met him, but when I asked him to get involved in this, that's kind of when we all got to know each other really well. But just never being afraid to go and ask. Even local universities, we partner with Texas State University a lot for some of our pitch competitions and other things like that. So never being afraid to ask for help, that open communication. And then, as you mentioned, knowing each other's strengths. So we know what the librarians are good at in the chamber versus like a bigger corporation, and then everyone showing up to the table with their strength.
So, I don't have anything more. If y'all have questions, we're happy to take. But the gist of what I've learned is that you just start small, very small, and one conversation, start with just one conversation. The ecosystem already exists. We just have to step into it. If you have any questions, I'm happy, Adriana and I are happy to take any questions you have. We haven't looked at chat. I'm sorry. We're busy talking.
Yeah, and you got a few questions in chat. Let's see if I
Okay.
can go back. So I think the first question, Randy wanted to know if SBA is running the workshops or are they closed at the moment? I know that's been an issue in this past
No.
year.
So our SBA is in San Antonio, which is about 2.5 hours away from us, and they are open. And their director is coming to the library to talk about funding and the resources that they have.
But they don't run all of the workshops.
Oh, no, no,
Gita
that's SCORE.
works with
Yes. So,
SCORE
yes,
to do so, and
they are,
between you and them, find the speakers for
yes.
those.
So I don't work directly with the SBA. For one of our workshops, the director's coming. I reached out to him because I knew they had a lot of resources. But I work with SCORE Austin, and they have speakers and know about speakers. And so I go and I attend their presentations and pick from there. Randy, did that answer your question?
Yes, it did. I'm sorry. I'm in I didn't grab a computer in a place that was not full of other people, so I've got to keep my audio and video down. Sorry, guys.
No problem. And Kelly, are you wanting to ask your question live or I can read it?
Oh, yeah. I noticed that on your website for the small biz workshops that they primarily take place in the early afternoon on weekdays. How has your attendance been with that? Because I've struggled in the past to get attendance for small business owners during that time because usually they're working their day job. So how has your attendance been?
It's been good. We do it on a Friday from 12:30 to 2, and that timing works. I don't know if I changed it. I'm not sure. I have no idea if it would work or not work. I'm limited to Friday afternoons because our meeting spaces are taken up by story time. I cannot get
Got
an
it.
inch anywhere other than all the bad times. So this seemed that the best time was Friday at 12:30. If I wanted to do anything in the evening, it would have to be after 7:30 in the evening because our meeting rooms are so full with story time and youth programs. So,
Understood. Thank you.
We just launched kind of like a pre-accelerator program at the chamber, and we had never done anything after hours before. But the time frame we're trying out is 6 to 8, and we've had fantastic like 26 companies. So sometimes it's two founders that'll come. but a 10 because it really allows people with day jobs to participate. And our proximity to Austin, there's a lot of people that live in Round Rock, but they work in Austin. So starting at 6 gives them time to drive through the traffic to make it back to some programming. So, but yeah, man, to not start till 7:30, that would be kind of late.
So I had to pick the best of the worst times. And when I talk to the librarians, they always guilt me, but those are the future of Round Rock. You cannot take those times. Like, okay.
Those are entrepreneurs are the future of Round Rock.
Our youth librarians are very passionate, and I don't want to waste. They do good work. So
Yeah.
if I wouldn't know, Kelly, the answer from any experience, Friday is just what is available.
Yep, that sounds good. Thank you. Yeah, I understand having very little room on certain days, so you make it work the way you can.
And Geeta, Steve asked in the chat if your library replaced Demographics Now with another product.
Yes, we did. Thanks, Steve, for some recommendations. We ended up going with Policy Map. Demographics Now was fantastic. We could afford it, and it was so complementary, complemented reference solutions so well. And then they went out, they sunsetted the database, and we had to find something else. So we settled with Policy Map because they have the Claritas and the Mosaic rating, or however you call it, the community, what it comprises of, the demographics. So and they don't cost, that doesn't cost extra for us. So that's why we went with Policy Map.
I think that was all the questions in the chat. So yeah, if others have more questions, feel free to type them in the chat and I can read them, or anyone is welcome to come off mute to ask a question or make a comment.
I had a quick question about Policy Map. I've never heard of this. Is anyone familiar with Simply Analytics, and how does Policy Map compare to Simply Analytics?
I could address that, Randy, if you'd like. We
Yeah,
have
that'd be
both.
amazing.
We have both, and we've had some analytics for, I don't know, 15, 18 years. Briefly, like Geeta suggested, they both are providing local demographic
like that.
data, but also some psychographic data in the case of Policy Map, as Geeta mentioned, and Simply Claritas, which is a pretty new addition to Policy Map. Simply Analytics, if you pay for the modules, the extra modules, you has a ton of psychographic data, Claritas and Simmons, MRI, for example, others as well. Some people say Policy Map is easier to use. This is opinion people have.
Yeah.
Simply Analytics is probably more powerful in some ways. Policy Map actually has an excellent blog that available to anyone. It's free. I follow it because I learned a lot from it, and I recommend if you're curious about it or just about the nature of of mapping local data to follow Policy Map blog.
Right.
And gets into some of their details of what they do. They both do public policy as well. So yeah, there are competing products. There's more business content and some analytics if you buy some extra modules.
Which we have some, but not others. So
Okay.
yeah, that's what I was curious about, because we've got the very hyper local data,
Okay,
but
yeah.
we don't have anything. We don't have the full, because we have reference solutions. We don't use the whole finding all the businesses stuff.
Okay.
But I know that our patrons find it really challenging to
Yeah.
use Simply
Sure.
Analytics. So if public Policy Map is easier for them to use, that might be a bonus.
And final note for me, unless you people, and other people may have opinion, Kelsey might want to jump into she wants to. Simply Analytics, Stephen Schwartz and Juan Vasquez are amazing and so well loved. That not really exaggerating in terms of support and services. And they also fund library stuff. They fund scholarships and travel awards. Policy Map Betsy, I forget the last name, sorry, is starting to do some more outreach to business librarians and economic development topics because they're now trying to be more competitive in the market for business information, not just public policy, political science content. But Stephen and Juan are just beloved and
Juan is
deserve.
amazing.
Yeah, so that and that matters that you get
Yeah.
good support. But PosiMap has good support too, and they're nice
Yep.
as well. I'll stop with that.
It's all good to know. It's more of a curiosity thing than anything else at this point, because I think we're pretty entrenched with Simply Analytics. It's just, I know I find that database the most challenging of everything we've got to teach. Thank you. I appreciate you.
With the demo, I found that difficult as well. But what separated why Policy Map won was they brought in Claritas for free. And
Oh, yeah,
whereas
at which point,
Simply
yeah, you're
Analytics was
golden.
charging so much money for that module.
Yes, no, it's all money, and that's actually very interesting. I appreciate you mentioning this. I know that this is not what the topic was, and I'm sorry I was snarky about we were about no, the business plan competition started out in Brooklyn, but it did. It's a very different program at NYPL now, so it's no longer really comparable. They do very different things than we do, but yeah, it did start here.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so and they took it from across the river.
Okay.
Just fine.
I only know New York Public
Yeah, no, of
Library, right?
course, of
Everybody
course.
knows that.
Everybody knows. We have the stepchilds or the stepsister thing going on. It's fine.
Yeah, it was Anne Lehman
Yeah,
whom I spoke to and her team.
they're so great. NYPL is amazing. It's just for the sake of my colleagues who had developed that program, I just felt like I needed to go on. And I'm sorry it came off. I probably came off snarky, but it wasn't meant to be.
No problem.
Thanks.
Cancer. Anybody else?
I don't really have a question, just a comment. It's just, once again, it shows that just showing up to things and meeting people out in the community can lead to amazing benefits. So I know we say that a lot here, but it's worth repeating, reminding ourselves, because occasionally I'm going to business networking events and thinking, why am I here again? But then something will happen. I'm like, oh, okay, that's why I'm here. Finally, this person is ready to hear what I've been saying for the last 3 years. And finally, something gets through, or I meet a new person that then leads to a new partnership. So, I didn't catch all of it because I had a phone call, but I mean, that one conversation you had on the sidewalk outside the meeting. That's why I always schedule in more time before and after the networking things, because honestly, it's like the pre-schmooze and the after schmooze. Sometimes that is the most important part of the visit.
Absolutely. Yes. And I go to the chamber luncheon once a month. I remember sitting at a table, and it's a formal, everybody's from the business world and suited and booted. And I often feel out of place, but they're very welcoming. And I was sitting at the table, and there was this gentleman there, and we were just making a chit chat. And he said, but you're from the library. Why are you here? So he said, no, but we do business work. And he said, really? And he said, what kind of business resources do you have? Do you have something that does market segmentation? Because I bet you don't. And I said, I bet you do. I bet you we do. And so he looked at me, he said, I just went to a really nice company, and I paid for, it's called Reference Solutions. And I paid for these 3 modules, and each module cost me $3,000. So I looked at him and I said, with your library card, you wouldn't have had to pay $9,000. It would have been free. Every time I see him, he like turns his head away a little bit. So
Wow. Yeah, $9,000 compared to $0.
Yep.
And he now sends at least he sent 3 people my way. said,
Hmm.
don't buy, you go to them. You can use it at the library.
Hmm.
So
That's awesome. Well, Geeta and Adriana, that was a great conversation. I really appreciated hearing from both of you. And we've all heard from Geeta before, so it was really nice to have the additional perspective and to meet some of the, or put a name to the face, or put a face to the name of, of one of the partners that is part of Geeta's story here. So that was really great. So thank you
having me.
both so much. Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate being here.
Unless we have further questions, anybody going once, going twice? Yeah, I think we can call it for today. I hope everyone has a nice weekend, a long weekend perhaps. Um, and come back in March. I believe we're having Gwinnett County Public Library talk to us in March. So um, look out for the details about that. We'd love to have everyone back then. Yeah, and stay well. It's great to see you.
Thank you. Thank you, Megan.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone.
Bye bye.
Thanks, guys.